Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Think Clinical podcast. My name is Dr. Hamza Suma. I love being here with you all the time. I love spending time with everyone. It's truly a privilege to be here a lot of the time and share what I know and also learn as much as I can from everyone. I appreciate you and the support you've given this channel, subscribing, liking and sharing our content and getting everything out there to the people who really need to hear this content. We appreciate that. So if you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe, like and share. And I'll be jumping into some very important, exciting stuff today. Today we'll be talking about the concept of finite and infinite games and how we can apply these to the healthcare entrepreneurship space, because a lot of the time, and I know a lot of us are not very familiar with what these finite and infinite games really stand for. What are they? How do we apply these in the context that we are? And these principles can be applied in any setting that you find yourself, not just healthcare. But for the sake of what we do on this channel, we will limit a lot of this conversation to mostly what would happen in the healthcare space. And if you have any suggestions on how it applies to different items, you please let us know, and we'll be happy to keep that conversation going. So, just to give you a bit of a context around what these finite and infinite games are. So in the year 1986, so James Cars wrote a book about finite and infinite games, and this falls into a broader category of the game theory, which is just mostly a mathematical economic approach that looks into how to build strategy, how to map out strategy, and how to make sure you are well positioned strategically for success in different things. So what he came up with in the concept of finite and infinite games is that, first of all, let's look at what they mean. When you talk about finite games, now these have a clear set of rules, and there's a clear endpoint. So there are rules that govern how you play the game, and there's a clear endpoint. So I'm a soccer fan. I like watching soccer, I like watching basketball. When you watch these games, they have a clear set of rules. They have an understanding of what is and what is not to be done, and there's a clear endpoint. So if it's a 90-minute game in the game of soccer, after 90 minutes, whatever the scores are, if it's a draw between the two teams, it remains as a draw. If one team wins, that team is a winner, and that's where it ends and nothing else. But now when you look at the concept of infinite games, the whole idea is to continue playing. The goal is for continuation of play. So there's no end. It just keeps going, and so you don't have an end point that you are always looking up to, because there's always something beyond that end point that just keeps going. So the idea and the goal of this is to continue the game, is to continue playing, is to be in the game for the long term. Now, why am I even talking about these two concepts in the field of healthcare? When you look at these very carefully, you understand that, and I'm going to start applying these to healthcare entrepreneurship. You do understand that there are specific things that as a healthcare entrepreneur you are going to do that have a clear end and have a clear set of rules that you follow, and you get the job done, and you get your results, and then you determine what to do next from there. Now, the only reason why a lot of healthcare businesses are not succeeding as much as we think they should be is because we are failing to see beyond those clear set of rules and those endpoints that we get in different things that we do. So we keep playing the short game, and as long as we play that short game, it becomes difficult for us to become sustainable, because when you think about infinite games, it's about sustainability. It's about you continuously playing that game for a very long time. Now, when these concepts were explained, a lot of businesses and industries have applied these concepts into their different businesses to see how they can play for the long term, how they can continue to play in this game. And when we talk about this, even in the context of having a competitive advantage or for being sustainable, a lot of the time businesses that have an infinite mindset where they just want to keep going, all they do is compare themselves to their previous performance, if it's a quarter, if it's a monthly performance, a weekly performance, and just use that as the benchmark to set new goals, to set new expectations, and just continue playing the game. You realize that those businesses do very well and last way longer in business than businesses that look for the short term, that look for so let me give an example in the context of startups. So a lot of you who would probably be going to healthcare entrepreneurship would be going for startups. You'll be coming up with very innovative products that you want to send out to the market. You need support, you need financing, you need the buy-in of the consumer. Now, when you have these things that you are bringing out, you have a goal. And one of your goals is to make sure that you have the funding and the support to be able to bring out these items. Now, when you have those, when you have those situations where now you are able to bring out any of these different things that help you to be able to run your business, at some point after you get these things, you are actually very convinced that you have everything you need. You've achieved your aim. You've achieved your goal. And that's a very finite way of thinking, where you think, okay, I need capital for my startup. I have the capital now. That's what my goal is, all done. You also look at things like, oh, I'm trying to build this state-of-the-art medical app or medical device. And once you get that done and launch it to the market, you actually you interpret that as some form of success, which is some form of success, but you fail to look at the sustainability of whatever you are doing, because you set these goals within very well defined rules or parameters, and once you are able to get past those, you have this fulfillment, and there's nothing beyond that for you. There's no long game for you. There's no sustainability plan for you. Now, it's important, yes, for some projects for you to think in a finite way, because you need capital for the startup, and once you're able to get through the funding cycles and you get your funding, it's good. But in the context of these finite games or finite mindset, you need to also set the infinite mindset, where now you are looking beyond getting that funding now, and how that's going to translate for you and your business in the long term. How do you continue to play? How are you going to stay in the game for so long? And that gives you a strong competitive advantage. A lot of these things, and for lack of a different experience, I'll use Apple as an example, where you find Apple continuously innovating even beyond Steve Jobs. And the only reason why they can have is because Apple is so positioned on keeping the game going. Keep playing the game. That's all they want to do. They are not looking at the competition and the fact that we beat these people this year, because then that puts them in a very finite mindset. All they are looking at is, what is the next thing? What next product can we bring on? How can we improve on where we are right now? How can we get better? How can we serve our customers better? They are always exploring those ways to make sure that they can just keep their business going. And that is an infinite mindset for a business and for the people in the business to be able to adapt and follow through with all the different things that they need in the long term. So that's sustainability, and this applies to businesses. And the only thing I would want to say in the context of healthcare is that the health of people is infinite. People will continuously need healthcare. Even when they are healthy, they will need some form of routine checks. People are always going to have ongoing healthcare situations. Healthcare businesses would always have to be in a position where we think about innovation, we think about things that would improve patient care and quality. We keep going. So we have to get into that mindset where if people are continuously going to have healthcare related issues, how are we positioned as entrepreneurs and as a business to keep providing that need? How are we going to improve on that need? How are we going to make it better for them to be able to access the kind of healthcare that they need? If we can get these ones really done properly, the advantage of all this will be that it actually then keeps us in a very unique situation where we are able to play the game for the long term. And in my context, the infinite mindset is what we need to do and need to keep going on with. Because if you position your company and yourself in the mindset that keeps you wanting to play the game for the long term, then you are positioned to succeed. And let's just look at it this way. If there's a company out there that is looking to just defeat or beat you, and their focus is on how they can beat you as a competitor, and your focus is just how you can get better and keep going and keep playing the game the next day after the next day after the next day, your focus is not on the fact that you were able to outperform this other company through some arbitrary numbers or metrics, but you were able to outperform yourself quarter to quarter or month to month. Then it puts you in a position where you honestly don't get influenced by what is happening externally, because your growth is motivated by internal factors. This is what this is what will happen. If everything you are doing is going to be motivated internally, then honestly nothing can actually break you down or stop you from getting your business going for the long term and being sustainable. Because every time you're thinking about what to make your business better, you're thinking about how you can employ more and better technology to make your patients feel better. You're thinking about ways to make sure that you can be more innovative, thinking about ways to make sure your staff are happy, and it just keeps going. So this is a general concept on which you can actually think or create your own framework that you can work within. At the end of this all, you need to really ask yourself what you're in the game for. Are you in this for the long term or the short term? And if you're in this for the short term, you probably are in the wrong business, especially if it's healthcare. But if you are in the long term, then you need to start thinking about how you can continue playing the game instead of when the game ends and what rules or what regulations would determine when it ends in any way. You just need to keep it going and keep playing the game. So this has been another episode of the Think Clinical podcast. I really do appreciate your time. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share, and I will see you in subsequent episodes.